Good morning, everyone. This is Diane. Happy Mother's Day. I wanted to share with you the little baby boy journal that I completed. It turned out very sweet. It's with a Reader's Digest book cover. It's 5 1/4 by 7 5/8, and it's a 1 3/4 inch spine. I added blue fabric, blue polka dot fabric, and some bluish gray rickrack, and then this really pretty white lace and white seam binding to tie it closed. I used several different digitals in here, and I will link them all below. I'm not going to try to name them while I flip through, so I will link the digitals below. I made this for a friend who asked me to make it for a family member that's having a baby. Before I get into it, I'll show you I made this because there are several dimensional stickers in here, like pretty thick stickers. So I made this board out of took a piece of chipboard and just glued on some images from vintage catalogs and knitting books and things like that, little scraps of scrapbook paper, so that can be used as a writing board. I used a lot of the pieces that Fawn sent me. Fawn knew that I was making a baby boy journal, but that I had gotten rid of all of my baby ephemera and papers and things. So she sent me a packet of stuff. So thank you so much, Fawn. I put it to good use. I didn't use all of it, but I used quite a bit of it. And this is one of them. This little journal card I just stamped "This book belongs to." And since it's a baby and his story is just beginning, I stamped "And the story begins." And there's some really nice vintage trim here. This is one of the digitals that I used. I will say that's from the old design shop. And I did print them back to back so that there's no blank side there. So these are meant to be, this was printed or copied from an old baby Keepsake book. So you were supposed to write on it any information and stories and anecdotes about the baby. But look at the old-fashioned picture. That's a pretty old book that it was, and it's got age spots on it that were included in the copies, so I like that. I did add some little bit of lace to the spine, to the edge of the page. I didn't want to make it too lacy because it's a baby boy, but I did add some. There's some blue eyelet on some of the pages also. Baby laughs, so there's room here to talk about something that made the baby laugh for the first time. I got out my chenille and I made some chenille clusters and you'll see some chenille pockets also. This was something that Fawn sent me. It's from a newer baby, what did I just say this was? Keepsake book. Looks like a Hallmark book or something, and I had them for my children. So they might be from 70s or 80s, these pages. Maybe newer, I don't know. She just sent me, I think, 2 pages. So this has birth announcements and newspaper clippings, and this side says comments and impressions of family and friends. Here's one of the chenille pockets, and I added this printable ticket. So cute. And this came with the same set as this. Here's some little pieces of the gift wrap that Fawn sent me, and I put them on an alterations card or tag, so they can write on there. And this came from a vintage knitting book, and I just sewed it to some ivory cardstock and added a little piece of vintage linen as a tab. Fawn also sent me the pretty blue yarn to put in the tops of my tags. It says "Sweet Baby." Here's some wrapping paper from Fawn and some stickers from Fawn. And here's the other journal kit that I used. On the back I added one of the vellum stickers and this digital that I cut out and glued on as a little tuck spot. And I had these tags in my stash, so I used a few of the little tags, and this is another one of the digital tickets. This is from the knitting book, And the knitting book was sent to me from someone else. Was it Deborah? I can't remember, but she sent me several knitting books, and some of them were baby ones. I used some of the Mrs. Cog's motherhood images, so there's one of them. And I put that on as a tuck spot and added this. That's a digital. I will link that below. And I got these rub-ons from Fawn. She also sent me this piece of vellum, which I thought was really cool, and this children's book page. Sweet little teddy bear and a poem. There's another vellum sticker of a baby carriage. Here's a place to write the name of the baby, the date of birth, the weight, and the height. And there's one of the dimensional stickers. I bought those stickers at Walmart. Here's another of the baby bingo cards, and I made a tag to put in here with some, it's a embossed paper, and it's cardstock. Light blue mulberry paper and an image from an old catalog. Montgomery Ward or Spiegel or something. I think it was Montgomery Ward. And then I added this little tag, which I had in my stash. It had a hole up here, and I put this little bunny on that I cut from some vintage gift wrap that I had in my stash, and I added a flower brad. You can move it out of the way to write. And on the back I covered up the prongs of the brad with this circle. And that's the first signature. And here we have more information about the birth, the time, where the child was born. I guess that's in the hospital, like the name of the hospital or whatever. Father, mother, doctor, nurse. So lots of information you can add there. This one says first gifts. And there's some of the prompts are repetitive because there's two different page kits being used. So, but this says wait at birth, at 1 month, at 2 months, but you won't be able to write on all of it, but it's there. There's another cluster with some chenille and a piece of vintage trim. Our baby's first birthday, it says here, and other holidays. Here's another piece of chenille as a pocket with some of the eyelet and a ticket. This is from the knitting book. And another tag with the gift wrap, little gorgeous little animals on it. Sticker there, some gift wrap. Another vellum or a 3D sticker. This is one of the tags that was in my stash. This is from a sewing pattern on how to make a teddy bear. Another of Mrs. Cog's images. Hush little baby there. Love that picture. So big. Baby, the sweetest blossom of all. You could put some pictures right here. There's a 3D sticker and also this little teddy bear safety pin. And this is like a little piece of metal there. So cute. And there's several safety pins, diaper pins on that pack of stickers. So I'm sending the rest of the stickers along. Here's another little fussy cut from gift wrap. And this little swivel tag with a flower brad covered up by a circle. So here you can write the weights for ensuing months and then for years, up to 5 years. This was the other side of the page that said Baby's First Gifts. And then Baby Speaks. More chenille up there. First haircut. You can put a lock of the baby's hair there. Another piece of chenille with the ticket on it. First discoveries. Discovered own hand, grasped objects, recognized mother, recognized father, and any remarks you might want to add. Here's a page from a Winnie the Pooh songbook, How Sweet to Be a Cloud. And this is another Mrs. Coggs image, which is very sweet. And from one of the craft books, I had these, the Three Little Kittens cross-stitch diagram. So I just glued it to a piece of paper and stuck it in there. Some more rub-ons. First steps, the date and the age. And here's a page from a children's book. B is for Busy Babies. Baby's first birthday. Baby's weight. Again, some of the prompts are repetitive, but this one has 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. Dimensional. This is very dimensional rattle. It's like plastic. This paper had writing, had printing right here, so I had to cover it up. And this one has a star brad on it. So here's a place to put baby's handprints and footprints. Mother's notes. And on the back I put on this really interesting looking little library pocket. I've never seen one that was that stubby, but it actually came out of a library book. I added one of the postcards, the digital postcards, to the front, and 2 of the Mrs. Coggs cards in the pocket. So this was fun to make, and it ended up being very sweet, I think, because I just love these little vintage decal images. Those are decals they used to put on cribs and high chairs and whatever back in the 50s probably, these images. Alright, so that's going to go to my friend who wanted it, and then I wanted to show you what's next on the docket. Something completely different. I'm going to make large journals out of these books. Country Patchwork and Quilting and Romantic Patchwork and Quilting. And these measure, this one's 1988, this one's 1989, it says it right there. 8 1/4 by 10 1/4, so they're going to be big. I want to make them in a domestic art style, which is what I call, based on Gina from the Rebookery, her Homebodies books from way back. But I called mine Domestic Arts because I didn't want to steal her title, but I also don't want to take credit for the style. But mine are different from hers. I'm inspired by hers, but mine are different. So obviously, since these are so wide, I can't just use a piece of scrapbook paper, so I got into my little bin of overflowing scrapbook cutoffs, and I reduced it by a lot. I was so happy. I spent over an hour sewing pages together last night. So all I did was pull out strips. So these were the 12-inch length strips. And I just sewed them together till they were long enough that I could fold them, and I'll still have to cut some off, and I'll have to trim some off there, but I could make flaps with them too. So, and I didn't try to match things, I just pulled them out and sewed them together. This one had this interesting cutout at the top. It was punched and torn, and I just added this little piece to it. I try to leave some of the interesting bits. Some of them are double-sided. This one has one piece that's double-sided. Now these look like I color coordinated them, but that's, oh, I was going to zoom back out. That's just because they were stacked together in the bin, but obviously they were all used for the same book. And then these were shorter pieces, so I made another strip and then sewed it to the top there, or the bottom, whichever way I end up turning it. Some of these were pretty wide. Oh, this one, that one, those are pretty wide. This page is way bigger than I need, but I can either cut it off or make a flap. So here I had punched out some circles to use as embellishments, some of the globes. So I left that there, and there's a little hole there. And then this was actually one of these that I had made before, and this is a part that I trimmed off. So I just sewed it on. It was already pieced together. I just sewed it on the end there. And this one has a bunch of little hearts punched out. So this one, again, they were wide but short, so I pieced some down here and sewed them along there. So I have quite a few. I think I have 12 pieces, plus I already had some that I had made previously. So I have enough to put 2 pages in each signature of these journals. And then I went ahead and started sewing some smaller pieces together so I can make pockets and things. And these are going to be big books, so this would make a pocket that way or that way. And then I can, of course, can trim them to fit whatever size. Or they can be pockets, tuck spots. That didn't work. I went right off the page there, so I'm going to have to sew that again. So I just sewed pieces together, and then I will cut them to the shape and size that will work for whatever I want them for. This was one of the pieces that had been done previously, and it was a cutoff from another project. So I cut that in 2, and I'll make 2 pockets out of it. I have some littler ones. So I was on a roll trying to use up some of the scraps out of that bin. And that was just the bin of the bigger pieces. I have another container. Show it to you. It's right here. I have this container with the small pieces. So I might start sewing some of them together also to make pockets and tuck spots and whatnot. This has a whole book in it. 2 of them. So that's what's next. This came with the Romantic Quilt book. And it's quilt stencils, so you can stencil this onto your quilt, however they do it, erasable pen or chalk or something, and then quilt on the lines. So this is just a little quilt pattern, but I'll have to poke out all these little pieces, and I'll use it in the book somehow. And there's another one also. So it's going to take me some time to poke out all those pieces. But it's kind of plasticky. So it had to be sturdy so you could use it over and over. And it came in this, excuse me, the Romantic Quilt Stencil Collection with lovely pewter heart pin. I'm pretty sure I didn't get the pin. But it shows where you can use the quilting designs on things other than quilts. So these are great. I can use these in the books too. So I'm excited to get started on these. But that's all I have to share with you today. Thanks for tuning in. And I hope that YouTube gives me a good thumbnail to choose with this baby book. Sometimes you get 3 thumbnail pictures that you can choose, and that's what people see, and when they see that picture, you want them to say, oh, I want to see what that video is all about. But lately it seems like my thumbnails that I get to choose from aren't very good. I did a video, I can't remember what it was, but I made sure I kept the camera on the cover of the book or something for a while. But I also, I was showing the Penguin book. Like, I showed some stuff and then I showed the Penguin book completed. But I didn't want that to be the focal point of the thumbnail. And when, and then I showed the book, showed some more after it. I just stuck the Penguin book in the middle. When, all of the thumbnails featured the Penguin book. So go figure. So anyway, I'm leaving this here and talking, hoping that we get to see the baby book. So we'll see. I don't know how to select a photo. You can do your own, what do you call it, custom thumbnail. And I've tried, and I don't know how to do that stuff. So anyway, here we go. It's a baby book. Let's do a video on a baby book. I'll talk to you again another day. Have a great day. Bye-bye.